This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
Update on the recent Mount Bosavi kidnapping as gang demand ransom. Prime Minister says work has begun to rebuild PNGDF capacity. And ICCC to monitor charges on the use of FPOS machines. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. We begin tonight with a situation update on the Mount Bosavi kidnapping, and EMTV News received another update this afternoon that the gang are now moving to the next village of Huai to terrorize villagers there and demand for ransom.
As of 2 p.m. this afternoon, EMTV News was alerted that the gang, after terrorizing innocent villagers at Wapu Mission Station and Walagu villages, are now moving to Huya village, which is a 3 hours walk across River Soa. Jimmy Hale, after receiving a phone call from his brothers at Bosavi and in an exclusive interview with EMTV News this afternoon, elaborated on the issue thus far.
There is a big river there, so the big flood is the current at the moment, so the rascals are still there, making making some smoke now. Kidnapping fire now, we are ready to attack the village of Huya. So with that signal from that, I think they remove the girls and the ladies to hide them in the bush. The boys are ready to face with these rascals. I want collaboration to be held provincial government and common local level government. And then the councillors and the communities within that range of Mount Sisa to be work together to find out which these criminals come from.
He said the villagers at Wapu have given the gang members cash money of 5,000 kina and some pigs after the release of the 17 girls on Friday afternoon. Today, this same group of gang members are headed to Huya village to demand another ransom payment by these innocent, helpless and vulnerable villagers. Police presence is yet to be established there. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, villagers along the isolated ranges of Mount Bosavi and Mount Sisa LLGs are still living in fear as they await security personnel to be deployed there. EMTV News understands some of the females held captive were released back to their families. However, the villagers are still on the lookout for any more kidnap or attack that may occur in the coming days.
Locals at Wapi Mission Station and Walagu villages have remained with constant fear since the kidnap occurred mid-last week. According to Jimmy Hale, a concerned businessman from Bosavi who resides in the nation's capital, says he is in constant contact with his family back at home in Wapi village, Bosavi LLG. Given the remoteness of the area, communication is a huge problem. Jimmy tells us even government services are little to none in Mount Bosavi and Mount Sisa LLGs.
My people at the moment is to LLG. We don't have a tower set up by the government. There is no government services there. They don't have a proper phones like touchscreen phones that can communicate with the police commissioner or defense force or commander or any government agencies in the city. The people in a very remote part in Mount Bosavi is very isolated. Since 1975, there is no proper services in there. There is no supermarket. There is no flash selling there. There is no anything that like more than 5G or 4G communication that we have at the moment.
EMTV News understands 5 women were released on Wednesday night and another 17 released late Friday afternoon after the villagers combined and rounded up the gang, resulting in an intense clash. Deputy Commissioner of Police Dr. Philip Mitna, who is in charge of this operation, confirmed with EMTV News via telephone yesterday that security personnel will be deployed to Mount Bosavi by Tuesday next week. Commissioner of Police David Manning is expected to make a statement on this soon. Meantime, the Bosavi community living in Port Moresby have met yesterday to discuss and find an amicable solution as to how they can assist their families back at home in the troubled Mount Bosavi. Lindy Suharupa, National EMTV News.
Still on police news, and police in Western Province are on high alert to arrest anyone who is involved in smuggling drugs into the province. Assistant Commissioner of Police Divisional Commander Border Peter Phillips says police mobile squads in Port Moresby are now in Tabubil and will work together with police officers within the province to keep watch on law and order problems along the border areas. He made these remarks during the police patrol to Kiunga last week.
I also want to appeal to our good people from Tari and the Southern Highlands and the Western Highlands, those who have been smuggling drugs into this province. Time must stop because there are better ways to make their living. Highlands people are industry people, and I don't know why these people are trying to smuggle drugs into Western province and of course on their way to other parts of the world too, which is not good. But a very bad image to themselves, their family, province, and country as a whole. And I want to thank the provincial administration and the provincial government of Western Province for their continuous support, and OTML and other stakeholders for their continuous support to police in Western Province and Border Command as a whole. Thank you very much.
To news on security, and Prime Minister James Marape said work is now going into the rehabilitation of the Papua New Guinea Defence Force, which has eroded over the years. This includes the recent signing of the Defence Cooperation Agreement with the United States to assist rebuild the capacity of the PNGDF. Marape made the comments in reply to Western Province Governor Taboy Awioto.
Western Province Governor Taboy Awioto raised concerns in Parliament on Friday on disciplinary issues by members of the PNG Defence Force posted to Western Province to guard the PNG border.
Time orsa golo kiunga ono sa ko giwok lol orsa kamles la basa mabla party hab lol disla army barracks or army forward operation base lab orsa yusimosem on the nightclub. All can even carry all artists lo Papua New Guinea kam kain sem wali hitso. Anslab nagi kuso tisla kain all man kam. Emba big lo party ba kam bla. Mila ask national government service. All can saren team go down na investigate them sla kada dai kam up them na holim sla line responsible lo. All must face him justice. Wandan sla mila lusimosem. Thank you, Prime Minister.
In his response, the Prime Minister said the PNG Defence Force had eroded over the years.
But the issue on border province, I want to indicate to him that I am fully aware of all these issues, if not most of them. We have had erosion in our entire defence force for many, many years.
Marape added that is why the PNG Defence Cooperation Agreement with the US had to be stepped up.
That was part of the reason why the DCA had to be stepped up to partner the biggest military in the whole world to come in and partner us in terms of our sovereign border protections and capacity upskilling or capacitating our defense at the very earliest.
The Prime Minister also revealed that changes have been taking place within the PNG Defence Force since 2022.
It was in 2022. Just last year. In fact, a little over a year ago when we replaced the defense commander, we felt that the leadership at Mari Barracks was also weakened, and a lot of discipline issues at many of our defense posts. And with respect to the previous commander, we felt that a new leadership needs to take place at Mari Barracks.
Prime Minister Marape concluded by saying that more care is taken in the deployment of military personnel on specific call-outs. High among them was border protection. Prime Minister Marape said it was the aim of the government to rehabilitate the PNG Defence Force to a point where soldiers can properly and professionally carry out their duties with no or little changes of disciplinary issues as currently being faced. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
Brian Bell Group of companies participated in a cleanathon early this morning in Boroko, in the nation's capital. The cleanathon is part of Boroko transformation project between the National Capital District Commission and business houses in Boroko.
As Boroko's oldest business house since 1958, the Brian Bell Group of companies staff from the entire 8 different departments came out in numbers to clean Boroko. General Manager for Brian Bell's Group Technical Service and Agriculture, Janoa Smith, says Brian Bell is excited to be part of the Boroko transformation project.
Put our actions into making things happen. As part of our values and our behaviours, it's as much about making sure that we, through the respect that we have for the area, that we look to making a difference by simply picking up rubbish. It's as simple as that.
Mr. Smith elaborated that Brian Bell is the oldest business house in Boroko, and it is only fitting they come out and contribute back to Boroko.
Boroko, it's a really passionate place for Brian Bell Group. Everything starts here at Boroko. Back in Sir Brian's days, Boroko was so passionate. It was a place where the home centre started, and then we grew the business from there. So as part of the initiative with the business houses around here, NCDC, we really want to make a difference.
The cleanathon is part of the initiative of the National Capital District to transform Boroko and bring it back to what it was like before.
Keep Boroko clean!
Business houses are in partnership with NCDC to make this happen. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. The lack of quality services by commercial banks in the country was raised by opposition leader and member for Kangri and Gloucester Joseph Lelang during the last parliament sitting. Mr. Lelang said in the last few years, many of our citizens have complained about the services offered by country's commercial banks, and in so many instances, these issues continue to be raised in parliament, yet these issues are the situation has not improved.
On any given day of the week, Papua New Guineans will be lined up early at each of the commercial banks before its doors are open in order to beat the long queues and ensure personal banking is done quickly and efficiently. Added to this, banking services like mobile banking and internet banking services, automated teller machines are not working, which adds to the long queues and imposes on ordinary citizens that there is a lack of banking services, and this was highlighted by the opposition leader.
Mr. Speaker, through you, my series of questions are: 1. Prime Minister, are you aware that many of our commercial banks are charging so many banking fees for deposits and withdrawals, including on loans, as opposed to the usual interest rates we are all aware of? Question 2, Prime Minister, are you aware that one of our major banks have deposited extra undisclosed sums of monies into bank account of its depositors over Easter and has reversed these transactions, giving many of our low-income family earners unnecessary hardships?
The Prime Minister said this as he was providing an update while answering questions raised by the opposition leader on the banking situation in the country.
There is a need for additional banks to come into our economy. Our economy is getting bigger, the volume of transactions bigger, as well as our people who are unbanked because of their lack of comfort or confidence in the current commercial banks that is saving. There are many of our people, especially in the informal sector, who's not yet linked to our current commercial banks. We want to find an answer to that and have a commercial bank that is friendly to our little people.
Prime Minister Marape said the government was now working with the central bank to look into the issues of commercial banks and their operations in the country, including the reformation of the National Development Bank.
And we've also indicated to the central bank, our own state-owned enterprise bank, the National Development Bank is being reformed. National Development Bank will rise up to only be a development lender, but we are looking at having a commercial arm, expanding on PNG Micro. The PNG Micro Bank will be expanded, rollout to be a fully fledged commercial bank to give in one or two more competition to the existing one or two dominant banks.
On the issue of high bank fees being charged on the people, the Prime Minister said the government was continually talking to the banks.
But I am, in his first question, are you aware? I am aware of the fees and charges. I also do acknowledge it is extremely high, but in an environment of the present operation, they do indicate to us the high cost of doing business here and the charges. But as a government, we've always advised them to minimize the levels of fees and charges and to make sure the operational environment is safe, conducive, and comfortable for our everyday users.
The Prime Minister also indicated that reforms were taking place within the central bank to make it more receptive to the needs of the economy while it was operating under its fiscal and monetary policies. Rocky Iso, National EMTV News.
Still on banking, an independent Consumer Competition Commission will be effectively monitoring shops who charge unreasonable amounts for the use of EFTPOS machines. This was made known by ICCC Commissioner Paulus Ain at Wabeg, Enga Province recently.
The issue of Asian shops in Wabeg town charging large fees for people using their bank cards to shop and withdraw cash was revealed to the ICCC Commissioner by concerned citizens. The issue was highlighted during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between Enga Provincial Government and ICCC. ICCC Commissioner Paulus Ain said 2 agents for ICCC were appointed to work in Wabeg, and such complaints must be lodged so that communication can reach relevant authorities in the bank and ICCC.
China like charging this fee, so long boss long DSP, bringing me go back long CEO and document of money come make this land area. And by no right long charging, you must of China you know that right. Now problem is an enforcement. ICCC by enough time or get a time long that. So am I wrong? Racing on one time Tugla by racing on the DSP board player, or by racing come down from Salim, email address from Tugla or to copy me in by me talking to you.
Commissioner Ain also explained that provincial health inspectors must assist ICCC when it comes to monitoring hygiene of the food shops and kaibas in town. In terms of regulation of price of basic goods and services, talks are being held with the government to subsidize costs. It was also admitted that implementation of the ICCC rules and regulations were quite challenging. Amanda Ilaitia, National EMTV News.
The news in agriculture and the recent launching of the revolving fund for agriculture value chain financing between Women's Microbank Limited and the Australia PNG Economic Partnership is set to give more benefit to the women folk of the country. The former board chairman for Women's Microbank and coffee veteran Ricky Mitio said the fund now will put money straight into the pockets of women and girls.
Speaking during the launching of the fund, the former chairman for Mama Bank, Ricky Mitio, said women and girls are the main laborers in cash crop production, but most often do not reap the benefits.
At the village level, our women folk are the main laborers for picking, planting, and even looking after coffee. When it's all harvested and ready to be sold, our men jump on a bandwagon, put it on a truck, take it to the PMV, to the factory. Mrs. can wait at home, go and sell it, and when the money arrives, Tinting Blaman open with other thoughts, and they buy beer and all those consumables and have a go at it. And by the time they get home, maybe there's nothing left or little left.
Mr. Mitio acknowledges the initiative of the Australian government to help fund the Mama Bank so that this will see women benefit from their hard work.
If in this program, if we can arrange it in such a way that the maximum benefit goes to our women folk, will be through Women Bank CEO. You arrange your women folk, and we will, transfer the maximum value to our women groups.
He highlighted one of the challenges for women in the rural areas to access market for their produce is because of geographical constraints and many more.
But given the diversity of the geography and the condition that the people live in, the road connection, infrastructure and all that, transferring maximum price to the growers is impeded by these factors. Yeah.
Mitio urged Mama Bank and the Australian PNG Economic Partnership to support PNG women every step of the way through the new product introduced so that women greatly benefit from it. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
All health facilities in Northfly District of Western Province will now order their medical supplies through an online system commencing this month. Following the two-day medical supply chain training held in Kiunga last Thursday, health facilities will do online procurement process of their supplies.
Health workers express that ordering through the online system is more efficient and will help the medical supply coordinators at the Badili Area Medical Store in Port Moresby to do quick assessment and packing. Western Provincial Health Authority brought in the nursing officers and registered community health workers within the district to train them. Health worker participants Eddie Mandun and Esther Nenes said it is a relief in rural sub-health centers to order their drug supplies.
When we are ordering drugs, sometimes we go run out of drug within when we are waiting period of waiting when we want to receive the drug the time, so we're taking a time. But time we come into the training. I
believe that we will be, there will be consistency in drug ordering and supply now with this new system in place.
Medical Supply Chain Coordinator of Western Province, Gabriel Tambui, assured health workers and people of Western that the Provincial Health Authority is committed to improving the logistics of medical supplies into the province for all health facilities. He said the process of ordering online will help the Western Province Health Authority to get accurate equation on the supplier and customer processing order.
Provincial Health Authority started taking ownership of the issue of the drug within the province. We then decided to bring in these people to conduct the training. So the main highlight for the training is that it's shifting the manual ordering into the online ordering, whereby the health facilities now that 12 health centers.
He added that a total of 12 mobile tablets were also issued to each health worker, all worth 50,000 kina, which is inclusive of the system setups, configuration and the installation of online supply management system app, including training, venue and travel expenses.
The good thing about this, the M supply using the mobile tablet is they will be able to manage the stock of medicines at the facility level. They will be able to know how many is coming in, how many is at the facility level, and how many is going out.
Coordinator Tambui says Western Provincial Health Authority will also conduct the online training for health workers in Delta Fly, Middle Fly and South Fly districts once more funding is made available this year. Natasha Ovoy, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Moving to overseas news now, Ukraine begins its counter-offensive against Russian forces.
Another foreign leader, Canada's Justin Trudeau, in town and bearing gifts, £400 million of military assistance. And finally, from President Zelensky, an admission that Ukraine is now on the attack.
Counter-offensive and defensive actions are taking place in Ukraine. What stage they are at, I won't say in detail, but I think we'll definitely feel it all.
It's hardly a revelation. All week, images like these have flooded social media. Ukrainian troops pushing forward, probing Russian defences, looking for weak points. Some of the fighting here, south of Zaporizhia, has been ferocious. But Russia says it's repelled all Ukrainian advances, destroying precious Western-supplied equipment in the process. Claims it's hard to verify.
Over the past 24 hours, the Ukrainian armed forces continue unsuccessful attempts to conduct offensive operations.
A third British Member of Parliament resigns after former Prime Minister Boris Johnson's resignation.
Following the departures of former Prime Minister Boris Johnson and former Minister Nadine Dorries yesterday. The latest to go is Nigel Adams. Mr Johnson says he quit after being forced out following an investigation into whether he misled Parliament over parties held at Downing Street during the COVID pandemic. Nadine Dorries claims her workload had become too much. The resignations have triggered 3 by-elections as the Conservatives trail in the polls.
Former United States President Donald Trump speaks for the first time since charges were laid against him.
Donald Trump announced to the world via his social media website, Truth Social, that he had been indicted on federal charges. He has not exercised his right to silence, instead making repeated claims through that platform. But today was the first time we heard directly from the man since the indictment was unsealed. And when it was unsealed, we heard those extraordinary details about what is alleged to have occurred, which is that Donald Trump, when he lost the presidency and was leaving the White House, took with him documents which were classified and then deposited them in his Mar-a-Lago residence down in Florida. He put them in boxes, which were in places like the shower and bathroom in Mar-a-Lago and also the ballroom stage. Included in those documents are things like the nuclear arsenal secrets of the United States military, but also how the United States might militarily respond to an attack. Highly sensitive, tightly held documents that Donald Trump knew he did not have a right to have. And not only did he have them, but he also refused to send them back when they were requested and help investigators who were trying to find out what had happened to those documents.
The suspect in a knife attack in France has been charged with attempted murder.
In the southeastern French town of Annecy on Thursday has been charged with attempted murder. The 31-year-old Syrian national has also been charged with resisting arrest with a weapon. The victims are all in a stable condition after being treated for life-threatening injuries.
Thousands descend on Jawian country for the weekend in Australia's Northern Territory for the Buranga Festival.
A major cultural festival in the remote NT of Buranga is well and truly underway. This year marks 35 years since Indigenous leaders here presented then Prime Minister Bob Hawke with the Buranga Statement, calling for a treaty and formal recognition of the rights of First Nations Australians. This weekend has been dominated by discussions of an Indigenous voice to Parliament. We've heard several speeches here made by Northern Territory and federal politicians, including Federal Indigenous Affairs Minister Linda Burney. This is what she had to say.
Bob would want Australia to grab this with both hands. So I say, standing on the shoulders of giants, let's grab that opportunity with both hands and vote yes.
Ms Burney also referenced a statement from the late Prime Minister Bob Hawke's wife, Blanche, in which she said that Mr Hawke deeply regretted that he couldn't deliver on his promise to negotiate a treaty before the end of his term, and also that if he were alive today, he would like to see the voice to Parliament succeed. But while politics has dominated discussions here at Barunga Festival, there's been plenty of other events on that has gotten people talking. We've had weaving workshops, there's been Australian rules football, First Nations bands, traditional dances, so there's plenty on for the thousands of tourists that have made their way to this tiny NT community.
You're watching National EMTV News. Trukai Sports is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Head of Women's OFC, Emma Evans, said PNG is the first country to host the first ever OFC women's event, something she says will go down in history.
And a cool, calm finish by Island.
Head of Women's OFC, Emma Evans, said PNG is the first country to host the first ever OFC women's event, describing the event as history in the making for PNG, to now say that yes, the country hosted the first ever women's OFC event in Port Moresby.
The OFC Women's Champions League has launched for the first time ever here in Port Moresby. It's a hugely exciting opportunity, not just for, I guess, the players and the coaches and the teams that are here, but also for the country to host the first ever edition of the OFC Women's Champions League. And what's really exciting is this will go down in history. You know, this is the first time this competition has ever happened. One of the, the winning team will hold the trophy for the first time. And I think there's so many historical moments that are going to happen here while we're in Papua New Guinea that we didn't expect either,
She added that if it wasn't for the support of the PNG FA, the players and those involved, this would not be possible.
It's fantastic to see the community getting behind it. The stadium here is incredible. We've been very, very impressed with the infrastructure, the facilities that are here, and for some of these teams that are travelling from other countries, they've never seen a facility like this, So for them it's such an exciting moment, walking down that tunnel onto this pitch with the huge stands there, with fans here from everywhere. So I guess from the very starting point of them seeing this venue, of them being here, the feeling is already much higher and much more exciting than it would be, turning up to a park on their regular Saturday or Sunday. So I guess the whole experience for them is new.
She said one interesting thing about the tournament is that the players will take away a lot of good experience, memories, and not to forget the exchange in culture and the many friendships that were created.
We've been really, really pleased with the support from the communities, the schools. These players have been able to attend school visits and they've done cultural performances and the schools have performed back, and it's this really nice exchange here where it's not just about the football but it's about learning and experiencing a new culture and a new way of life. And I think what these players, especially the young players, will take back is extremely rewarding and motivating, and hopefully it inspires them to continue on with their footballing.
The OFC women's event ended on Saturday in Port Moresby. In kickboxing, the PNG Kickboxing Federation, after hosting its first ever fight this week, had so many good feedback. Organizer and rep in charge for the Southern region, Nelson Samson, was pleased with his team's performance. Organizer and rep in charge for the Southern region, Nelson Samson, who is also the president for Desert Storm Kickboxing Club, was pleased with his team's performance. The PNG Kickboxing Federation, after hosting its first ever fight this week, had so many good feedback.
The region is made up of 5 individual clubs: McGregor Club, Desert Storm, Acting City Development, Ola, and Tokorara. And we have a total of 56 fighters who took part in the Southern region, the class of the regions, and the fight went well. Overall, we are not the overall winner of the class of the region, but I'm happy for the performance of the boys. No one got injured. They complete the rounds, and I'm really happy and looking forward for a return of the match in Goroka. the clutch of the region.
He said during the fight, a lot of raw talents were on display as they took part in the fight, while others wanted to impress their trainers, coaches and the president of PNG Kickboxing Federation, Stanley Nandix.
The yesterday night performance in both island region and southern region was really nice. Even though they've been training for a couple of months, but the performance is, people need to be improved, and we are looking forward as a coach in the individual provinces, coaches, clubs, and looking forward for some good fights for the kickboxing event under Desert Storm and PNG Kickboxing Federation for the years to come.
He said the team is now looking forward to attending the next clash of the regions in Goroka. President for Desert Storm Kickboxing Club Nelson Samson says the club's first event for this year will take place in July 2023. He said over the last 3 to 4 months, fighters have been busy training ahead of the July event in Port Moresby. President for Desert Storm Kickboxing Club Nelson Samson says various clubs in NCD are now gearing up to be part of the club's first event for the year, which will take place in July 2023. He said over the last 3 to 4 months, fighters have been busy training ahead of the July event in Port Moresby.
As I've been hosting a kickboxing in Port Moresby for a couple of years, it's 2, 3, 4 fights now, and I'm looking forward to host another game on July around 23, 24th. There is another 4th event that under Desert Storm promotion I'm looking forward to host as an international fighter, because I have an international game on June 23rd. After that event I'll come back and host the fight on July.
He said the fighters have been preparing well for the event in July and are still continuing their training at the Sejongai Stadium.
As boys have been improving much in the training, in their performances, and taking part in the clash of the region with the junior fighters against the islands, with some of the best fighters in the islands. The performance they showed in the ring was really elite level. And I'm looking forward with a good performance they're going to perform in July fight to be selected for international bouts in August in Sydney.
He added that the fighters are also looking forward to attending an international fight under the PNG Kickboxing Federation through President Stanley Nandix. And Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
You're watching Trukai Sports. Moving to overseas sports now. The Cricket World Test Championship final between Australia and India at the Oval in London is finally heading into its final day.
India is 3 for 164 in its second innings, needing another 280 runs to win, with Virat Kohli unbeaten on 44 and Ajinkya Rahane not out on 20. Australia declared its second innings at 8 for 270, with Alex Carey starring with an unbeaten 66. India was set 444 to win, which would be a world record run chase.
Yeah, I think we've got the runs on the board that we would have liked. Always want to take more wickets, but look, they played well. We've got a big chance tomorrow. It's a matter of just being patient, putting the balls in the right area, staying around that area that we've seen do, bits and pieces at times. Just be patient and hopefully those chances come.
In AFL, Fremantle's 4-match winning run has ended with Richmond running out 15-point winners in wet conditions in Perth.
Perth, the Tigers won back-to-back matches for just the second time this season with a 12 goals 13-85 to 10 goals 10-70 victory. Jaden Short fired 3 goals in the Tigers' victory. Earlier, Taylor Walker scored 10 goals as Adelaide thumped West Coast by 122 points at Adelaide Oval, and Hawthorn shocked Brisbane with a 25-point boil-over win at the Melbourne Cricket Ground.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, partly cloudy, possible brief showers and thunderstorm. Ley, cloudy with rain showers at times and possible thunderstorm. Daru, partly cloudy and windy. Kerema, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorm. In the Momase region, Medang, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorm. Wewak, cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorm. Vanimo, some showers and possible thunderstorm. Lorengau, cloudy periods with few showers. In the New Guinea Islands region, Cavian, cloudy periods with brief showers. Kokopo and Rabaul, cloudy periods with brief showers. Kimbe, some showers and thunderstorm. Buka, cloudy periods with some showers and possible thunderstorm. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorm. Goroka and Kundiawa, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorm. Mendi and Wabeg, cloudy periods with few showers and possible thunderstorm.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoniPlus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for this Sunday, the 11th of June 2023. Tomorrow is the beginning of shortened working week, so from all of us here, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.